you've ever played Rainbow Six Siege and used the ACOG scope, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, guys. Today, we're talking about ACOGs in Airsoft. Are they viable and are they cool? And today's ACOG scope was provided by Specprecision, new guys in the game who are making high quality optics. So the ACOG scope is a 4x scope, a chevron type reticle that is automatically lit up with this little tiny wire thing that is charged up via light. It's pretty cool. It doesn't require any batteries. And if you ever played Rainbow Six Siege, this is like the go-to scope that everybody uses, even though you're in tight corridors in CQB, because you try to get those little tiny headshots. Ironically, on the Type 89 with Habana players lock in. And I gotta tell you, even though I was a little skeptical about using zoom optics and in fact an ACOG, hearing about all the eye relief issues and how you gotta kiss the reticle in your eyeball, I really did want to make a video about this because I feel like a lot of people might try to get the ACOG as their first scope because it looks cool and they played Rainbow Six Siege. Like, this one has some very specific features that I thought alleviated a lot of the issues that the classic ACOG scopes have. So first of all, it's a 4x zoom. And I gotta tell you right now, guys, the image quality on this thing is very, very clean, very clean. It has like none of that cloudy brown tint. It is probably one of the cleanest scopes I've ever looked through. And it's just super duper nice, very clear. The reticle is super clear. Now, in terms of accuracy, it's Airsoft, guys. You're shooting balls, okay? So like, it doesn't really matter that much. I did zero it though for 30 meters and this little baby boy here was able to handle it and it would hit every single time. And one of the biggest questions I had was this gonna be able to handle gas blowback toys? And it did. I used this all day in the woods and it was doing absolutely fine. It never lost zero. It never actually got loose either. What actually did get loose during the day was the actual Type 89 rail, but this thing held on for dear life and it was absolutely great. What I do like about it, the dials for the turrets are like built in and you don't have to like use any tools. You can easily adjust on the fly if you want to. They're super clicky and they're very nice and precise. And I like that about them. However, they do operate in that opposite fashion where like, if you want to move the BB right, you have to turn it left. So like turning it left on the dial actually moves the reticle left instead of moving the BB left. So you kind of like have to operate in like the opposite way as you'd usually zero any kind of other optic, which is a little bit frustrating, but you're at the range, so there's really is no pressure. It's not too heavy. I'd say it's about as heavy as an EOTech. Using it with both eyes is kind of hard to do in quick situations. You have to really have it up against your eye like this. Close your eye at least for a little bit, and then you'll be able to focus in on the target. But even then, you're at a 4x zoom, and it's really, really close, and not exactly ideal for CQB or going through the woods with a scope on. That being said, when you are playing woodland with this thing, which is when I would probably use a zoom optic, it's actually really nice to be able to see the players depending on the weather, blah, blah, blah. Didn't really suffer any fogging issues or anything like that. I was playing in the woods and it was like super foggy because it rained the day before. Usually when you're used to aiming with an airsoft, you have to like, people usually aim from back here or like from the stock like this. But if you do that, you're getting a lot of scope shade because it's 4x zoom. And you'll even get this too with some LPVOs, right? That are kind of lower quality. But a lot of scope shade, you'll still see the chevron pretty easily, but in quick situations where you have to like kind of throw it up, not exactly ideal. You have to like kind of go there, really zoom in and then go for it. Even when I was peeking, I would have to like really like look at it first, then slowly peek out and then go for the gold, which kind of makes this a little bit slower. Now, Specprecision has done something which is really, really cool, which is what kind of drew me to it, is that they added iron sights on top. So the iron sights, even though you can't adjust them, they really, really help in terms of like going to the bush or like just kind of doing quick engagements. The kind of cheek weld they're used to in Airsoft, very high, I can easily just see the dot right here. And it's actually super visible. And you know, at that point, you're really just watching the BBs. I found that my BBs are going to the right of this iron sight in reality, but it was enough for me to kind of just get on picture and just kind of shoot at the BBs like that. But there's a nice little built-in solution that kind of works. And in CQB, I can imagine that working. Other than that, you'd probably be tilting around like this, right? So I liked this feature about it and I actually found it very helpful. in certain situations. They also have a little peephole. You can't really see it here. I'll throw some B-roll in the back. So if you want to look through your irons, you could actually look through the back and look through the irons if you wanted to go for a little bit of CQB, or if your optic goes down for some reason, which it shouldn't, because it's unlimited battery basically. Now the cool thing about it is that this one also comes with the kill flash, which was awesome, because finding protection for your lenses is actually quite difficult for these more awkward kind of things. This will reduce the glint from your scope when you're trying to camp out and shoot at mans. And it kind of does darken the image very, very, very slightly, but not to the point where it's like I'm looking through a basket. That being said, the very first time I tried to bring this thing out to the field was on a super rainy day at Airsoft. I was playing with Jet, Desert Fox, and I wanted to test out this bad boy here. And I gotta tell you, the kill flash will collect water droplets, and it just made the ACOG absolutely useless. I could not see. It was horrible. It was just like looking at clouds. So just be aware that maybe if your image is a little bit bad, maybe give your lens a wipe, or check the kill flash if it's actually collecting water droplets. Something a little air can't do to fix, but that's just one thing to worry about. It works really well in well-lit areas. You'll probably be pairing Airsoft in well-lit areas. In the dark, I can see you using it if you're using the chevron as kind of just a little guide. And if you have it closed up against your eye like this, you can kind of just have both eyes open and have this floating red dot around as you're kind of aiming around, being a CQB mans, and you would have to probably zero it for whatever that distance is gonna be, 10 meters, whatever it's gonna be. I had this down for 30, so that didn't really help me that much. One word of warning for like content creators or people who wear hats is that because you have to get so close to this thing, sometimes the hat will actually touch the iron sight and you can't get close enough to it. The hat angle of like the camera is gonna just be all scope, right? Instead of having it here where it looks kind of cool. So you gotta kind of be aware with that. Even if you have an upside down helmet, it's gonna be like doom, hitting it. So that's the only thing I would say. I think that's why a lot of my footage that you might have seen here is just like the scope, because I wasn't really paying attention. My hat was kind of like down all the time because I was always adjusting the hat. Yeah, other than that, man, this thing just performed. It was really great, and it's fun to have, and it's a nice little collector's item, if anything. I don't know if I would recommend an ACOG to a beginner. I would recommend it for somebody who's trying to look for something new, or trying to create a look, or is very comfortable with zoom optics, or if your play style is kind of a little bit more passive and you're just kind of peeking around and you're kind of slower. I would recommend using the ACOG, and I would recommend using this one, man. They got a lot of ACOG replicas out there that are complete garbo, but this was actually really, really good. Very, very good build quality. It's pretty cool and doesn't even flinch. Anyways, guys, that's all there really is to say about the Specprecision ACOG scope. It also comes in green. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one. And hopefully you get to see gameplay of this thing pretty soon. And yeah, thanks for watching.